Hi friend, this is Gal Paiser Music, and this video is about inspiration. Where inspiration comes from? That question kept me curious and still keeps me curious for years. I think since I was a kid and I started playing and writing songs and then produce music. So sometimes I felt this inspiration, that feeling that I have now to go and write and do things. And sometimes it more felt like I wanted to do those things, but I didn't really had the inspiration. Do you know what I'm speaking about? If you're making any kind of art, if you're creating any kind of music or art, I'm sure that you can know from your experience how it feels. It feels different, right? When you want to be engaged in your art and you have the inspiration and it feels like everything is working and it's fun and it's flowing. And sometimes it's more like you're forcing it and you want to do it, but you don't really feel this inspirational force going through you. Do you understand what I'm speaking about? Or it sounds too weird? So, do you know this amazing quote by Leonard Cohen? I loved this one. If I knew where the good songs came from, I'd go there more often. I love this one because that describes so well, at least my feelings, and I think a lot of other people's feelings as well, that want to create and want to create something good, like good songs or good paintings or good whatever, designing if you're a designer. And if I really knew where it comes from, I would go there more often. That will be that simple. But if we want to say the truth, and we want to say the truth, so it isn't that obvious where it comes from. And it is a kind of mystery. And maybe because that's a kind of mystery, that's also part of the fun in this process, because you don't really know where it's coming from, and you are like exploring different areas in your mind, in your soul, in the surrounding, in the world. That reminds me that when I started writing songs, I think I was about 15 years old, I was always curious what will be the next song that I will write. I really remember myself, I used to write a lot of songs. I was very interested in writing songs and in composing and playing them. And I remember that I was writing a song and I was finishing it. And my next thought would be, I wonder how my next song will be like. I wonder what it will be, what will be its melody and its lyrics and so on. So I still didn't know Leonard Cohen then, I think, but I got this sense of this curious mindset of, I wonder what will be the next thing, what it will be, where it will come from, and what it will sound like. And I think that's part of the magic of this process, of this creative process, that you don't really know where it will come from and how it will sound like if you are writing song or if you're making music. But you're curious, and that's what keeps you going on. Now, as a past music student in a music academy and all kinds of music school, I feel that this topic of inspiration gets really left out. And that's so sad, because I did take part in a different kind of composition classes and writing classes and creativity classes from all kinds. But we never really speak about inspiration. That's very weird, right? Because if I'm learning like to compose and to write, that would be quite obvious that we have to speak about inspiration. But from some reason, in our culture and in our Western society, this idea of inspiration is something that isn't considered real in a way. It consider maybe some kind of, I don't know, some kind of a spiritual thing, or some kind of a new age thing, or some kind of a hippie thing, or like something that is only in the possession of the really great masters, of the greatest composers and greatest writers and greatest artists. Yeah, maybe they had the inspiration, but we don't use this thing called inspiration. So yeah, when I really think about it, no one of my teachers, and I had few of them, never speak about inspiration. Like this thing is never existed in the world. So it doesn't matter what we really think, if this thing called inspiration is exist, or if you believe only in the hard work. And I think those are the two parties of the artistic map. You have the hard workers, and I was, and I'm still in a way among them, that believe that you have to practice and you have to work and you have to produce and you have to do and do and do. And there are the more inspirational kind of artists who believe that it will come, it will arrive somewhere, somehow. Just as Leonard Cohen says, from somewhere. And I think that in music schools and in music academy and in composition classes and in all kinds of creativity classes, they teach you more the hard work area. That is my suspicious from my experience. They more teach you, or they more offer you to go and practice and to do it again and again, and to try this way and do this kind of exercise and this kind of exercise, which is good. You can benefit from it a lot. But they never speak to you about this side of the inspiration and about this moment of things just click and something just happen. So now you might ask, but is it a real thing, like this inspiration thing you speak about, Gal? Is it really a real thing, or is it just something, yeah, you can speak about it, but it's just like an abstract concept, right? That doesn't has any real meaning in the life and in the productivity area. So I think I used to think about this in this way, that inspiration is not a real thing, and it's more important to do the hard work and to keep on repeat the exercises and the practices again and again. And I think that maybe for a while it's true, until you're building up some capability and some skill, you have to do the hard work. But I think that in some point, and that can be more early than you might think, the inspiration part has to kick in. And then you have to, in a way, stop do the hard work and start looking for the inspiration. And if you want to be super practical about it, then think about it from your own experience. Think about your art or your creative field, and remember a moment that you were very engaged in your work, that inspiration flew through you, and you were just doing it without thinking. You were enjoyed, ideas came, and you were making it. And think about the time that you were stuck and things didn't happen. And every artist has both experiences. So it's easy to see that in one time there was inspiration, and in one time maybe there was a hard work or trying to forcing it, but there wasn't a real inspiration, right? So you can validate it from your own experience. So I think, yeah, inspiration, it's a real thing. And I think it's not being talked about too much. And that's a shame. That's why I'm recording this video right now. And I will record more follow-up videos around these topics. But now let's speak about how to bring it more often, this mystery inspiration thing. Because it is a mystery, but there are few things that I think you can do in order to bring it more often. Okay, so the first thing to bring inspiration that I found super useful is alone time. Time with yourself. You're not alone, you with yourself. Why time with yourself is so important? Because when you're having the time with yourself, you are stopping the influence from outside, from society, from friends, from culture, from things that you've got. You still know those things, but now you are making conclusions by yourself without any help. And I found that sometimes it's hard to get to this point where when you're saying, okay, I'll take this self time, this alone time, and just sit and see what happens, because we are very used to all those kind of stimulations of phones, computers, you name it, you know. But when you find this alone time, this self time start to be interesting, and it can be boring in the beginning, but then out of the boringness starts to build up something interesting, then you find the inspiration flow. That's what I understand. So that's a good thing. If you are looking for inspiration, to look for some self time, some alone time. Another thing you can do to bring inspiration, which is very close, is to meditate. If you ever try to perform meditation, it's not something that you perform, to practice meditation. So that's a practice that I found is very useful to bring inspiration, because you're doing it alone mostly. You can do it also in a group, which is also nice and fun. And it clears your mind. And again, it's giving you some space from the outside stimulations, and it allows your own juices to flow, your own things to happen without something that comes from the outside that you're trying to do. It's just brings your light out in a way. So meditation is a really powerful tool also. Another thing you can do to bring inspiration is just doing fun and exciting things. Because sometimes you do something completely else. Let's say that I'm a music creator, in my experience, in my example. But sometimes I can read something very interesting, or I can be with my wife and we are doing something fun. We are out in some kind of a date or something, and we're just having fun. Or I can be in a hike. I love to do kind of mountain hikes, and to do something completely else. But then you feel the inspiration to do your thing, to do your creative thing. It can come even from watching a movie, watching an exciting movie or a funny movie. Right? Because when you think about it, you create something in some kind of field, let's say in the music field, but you get the inspiration mostly or usually not from the music itself. The inspiration comes from life itself. So when life is fun and interesting and exciting, it will most likely bring you inspiration in your creative field. That's why a lot of the time when you are working too hard, when I'm trying too hard, let's say I have to sit and play all day long and try to compose something. So that also can work, but I find it much more efficient if I can just get to this state of fun and of excitement from anything, even not from the music itself, from something else. And then the music will flow eventually. Okay, So those were my tips or my way to get the inspiration to flow in my creative experience. And that's about it. If you have any ideas around this topic of inspirations, I would be very glad to read your comments. And we'll speak again soon. Bye.